3 years ago, Buster walked into our house and... Stop. 3 years ago, Buster walked into our house, jumped on our couch, and never left. It was my husband's birthday 3 years ago, and he was out working an event. And it was a normal day for the most part, and I all of a sudden heard a commotion, and I saw Walter, our livestock guardian dog, sprint across the pasture. And usually that means he's chasing something or, wants to get something out of the yard. And I look out the window, our bay window here that Buster is sitting in now, and I see something sprinting across the yard. And I see Walter going for it, and I knew it was bigger than a rabbit or a possum or anything like that. You weren't bigger than a possum then, I guess. Anyway, I run outside and I start running towards Walt, and then I notice that he's not attacking or encouraging this thing to leave. He's playing. My first instinct was, maybe it is a neighbor's dog that just got out and has found its way over to another dog to play with. And Buster was doing zoomies all over the yard. Walter was chasing him, and they were just having a good time together. And finally, I called out for Walt. And both dogs came running towards me. And this little beagle, or beagle mix dog, yeah, I'm here. I turned to have a conversation with Walt after petting Buster, and Buster just walks through the back door, hops on the couch, does a couple circles, and lays down. And I said, no. Get out of here. So I escort Buster back outside. You're being ridiculous. You know that, right? So I escort Buster back outside, and I send a picture to my husband, and I say, we have a visitor. And at the time, my husband was particularly fond of hound dogs. We had another big hound dog, Roxy, and she was getting a lot older, and I was nervous about how she was going to interact with this little beagle, but it was fine. Buster was just sitting on the back porch, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this dog? And he looked, pretty skinny. We don't have a lot of skinny animals around here. He was probably just fine. I asked my husband, should I feed him? And he was like, no. And the next picture I sent to Eric was a picture of Buster, and I said, yeah, he's eating dinner. I went around to go get my car because I was gonna go ask the neighbors if they were missing a beagle dog. And so I went around, opened the garage, and Buster darts in and into the house and back up to the couch. He's relentless. So I pull him back down, I put him in the car, and I start driving to our neighbors. Now, mind you, we live in the country, so our neighbors aren't close. And I started going up and down the driveways and asking the neighbors, is this your dog? Nope, no one recognized him. So the next day, I didn't really know what to do with him. I didn't want to leave him in the house because I didn't know if he was potty trained, so I just took him to work with me. And Eric posted a photo in one of the local groups and was like, is this your dog? So I took him to work, and he whined the whole time because he wanted to go outside, but he was so cute, so it didn't matter. And we got a hit on our post on Facebook. Someone said, I think this is so-and-so's dog. So I send this person a message, and I have a picture of Buster in the message, and I said, hey, this dog showed up here. Is this your dog? And she said, yep, that's Cooper. You can keep him if you want to. What? I couldn't believe that. This amazing little dog, someone just wrote that. You can keep him if you want to. Well, this is a day and age where sometimes tone doesn't convey through messages. And we found out that this person was kind of serving as a semi-quasi, rescue for abandoned country dogs. And Buster here kept leaving. And in fact, she had given him to her neighbor who was looking for a new family dog. And Buster left there too. The thing is, beagles, they follow their nose. And so if they're left unattended outside, and this is just speaking from the general beagle knowledge that I've read, but it makes sense. They're gonna follow their nose to wherever their nose takes them. And so Buster, as a farm dog, didn't make a lot of sense because he was just gonna go wherever the wind blew. Okay, we're back. We thought about it for a while, and we even asked some of our friends, like, hey, are you looking for a new family dog? Because this dog is incredible. He's so sweet, just incredibly loving. He wanted to be around us. He was great with our dogs. And I guess long story short, you should have seen this coming. Even though we weren't ready to be a 3-dog family, we couldn't let him go. So we kept him. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But Buster's story didn't end there. A couple weeks later, we took Buster to the farm store with us, where he peed on the chicken feed bags. And the lady that was checking us out, she said, "Hey, that's my dog Cinch." And I looked at my Buster dog, and I looked at her, and she said, "You can keep him if you want to." And it turns out, Buster, or Cooper, or Cinch, he was actually abandoned and dropped in the state right to the north of us. And this family had taken him in and given him a warm home until they found a new place for him to go, which was the rescue that ultimately named him Cooper. And she said Cinch, he had a problem with running away. That is Buster. And so they had given him to the person that we had contacted. So this pup, who they said was around 8 months old at the time, that's still up for debate. He had been to 4 homes, one very bad home that started this whole thing that had just dropped him and left him to fend for himself. And then some other people who just could not give him the home that this little ornery beagle needed. But all of these people who took him in basically said the same thing. To know him was to love him. Well, they didn't say that exactly, but they said that they just loved him. And he had such a big personality for a little dog, and that they were really glad that he found a place that could give him the home that he needed.
Wait for Dad?
Years later, like 2 years later, we ran into the woman that had Buster before we had him. And it was weird. I saw she was wearing a name tag at the farm store, and she was talking about the dogs that she had. And I said, "Are you?" And she said, "Yes." And I happened to have Buster with me, and I was like, "Well, this is Cooper." And she just lost it. She was just gushing over him, and she was happy, and I was happy, and Buster was happy. Yes, you were happy. So Cinch, Cooper, Buster's story has a very happy ending, as really the story of his life is just beginning. On our farm, almost every animal has a purpose. We have our livestock guardian dog, our hunting dog, and all of our other animals that are kind of have a job on the farm. Buster's job is to love and to entertain, and he does both of those jobs really, really well. You won't see him a lot in the videos because Buster can't be outside unattended. He just has to follow his nose, and that's okay. Buster gets running time, but his favorite pastime is sleeping. And he can sleep anywhere at any time, although he prefers this bay window here, and he prefers if he has the company of humans. If you're petting Buster and you remove your hand, you will regret it. He'll make sure that you get your hand back there to give him his appropriate amount of tickles, which is infinity. Infinity tickles. Buster is a little lover dog, and he loves to be with us, and he loves to make us laugh. I truly believe that. He is the orneriest of all ornery dogs. And while we were gone for an extended vacation, he figured out how to open all the doors in the house. And when we got back, we had to change all the handles to knobs because we couldn't keep him confined to a certain space when we were gone. If we leave the kitchen, he hops on the counters. And you wouldn't think this rotund little guy could do it, but he just hops straight up. Great vertical. Buster grunts like an old man, and he steals anyone's food that he can. And you might have seen in a recent video we had to take him to the vet because he ate an entire box of Christopher Elbow fancy chocolates. He's ornery, sometimes he's a disaster, but he's such a good dog. And I cannot imagine our lives without him. Why am I getting teary-eyed talking about this dog? Okay. Do you think you're gonna do anything today? There is not a single person that has met Buster that doesn't love him, who doesn't ask about him, who isn't excited for some quality time when they get to spend it with him. Because to know him is to love him. And while Buster may not be herding sheep, and he may not be protecting the flock, and he may not even be able to be left alone in the house because he makes bad decisions, I am so thankful that we said yes to keeping this little dog who really chose us. I just wanted to introduce Buster, our mischievous beagle, so that when you see him in videos, you know just how special he is and how important his story is to us. Buster hopes that other dogs like him get a chance too. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Don't like that, please. Good boy.